Welcome to the sweat. I think I just coughed into the mic.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, God. Hey, get this. Good morning. Hope you're all having a nice morning. Happy Thursday to you all. Hope you all had a better Wednesday night than I did. Yo, I don't know if anyone's following along with my 3 NBA bets, but all 3 lost in heartbreaking fashion. Siakam rebounds, hit 5 at half. I needed 8. The barely played in the second half of that game. It was just a blowout. He came in a little bit in the third quarter, grabbed the 6th rebound, then came back in for a couple minutes because it was a blowout. Finished the game with 28, 29 minutes, and then same goes for R.J. Barrett. I had 19 and a half points over. He had 13 and a half, came into the third quarter, scored 3 pretty quickly, up to 16, then didn't really see the floor the rest of the game. Both didn't play 30 minutes. Frustrating. And then my Spurs Bucks under, the dude launched a 3 at the buzzer of a meaningless game. I had it. He launched a 3 at the buzzer. It was a 20-point game, and he launched a 3 at the buzzer to go over the total. Like, all 3 of my bets lost in heartbreaking fashion. Now, I can't get mad at the launching a 3 because you can't get mad at stuff like that, because if you had the over and they dribbled it out, you'd be like, this is bullshit. Why aren't they shooting it? So, like, you're going to get mad regardless. The end of the end of games that aren't close, like, a lot, there's a randomness to it. Sometimes they try to score, sometimes they don't. Same goes for football. Sometimes a team down 30 points is still running a 2-minute drill to get down and score. You can't get mad when it doesn't go your way, because there's a randomness to it. It was just a heartbreaking way to lose an under, that's for sure. So anyway, yeah, let's talk Thursday. We're doing the morning show today because we have Andy's funeral service in the afternoon, so we won't be around. So yeah, we're gonna do NBA, then college football, then college basketball. That's the plan here. So let's start with NBA, and I do have some bets open, but I mean, confidence in the NBA not high right now. I don't know. I felt like, I don't want to say it was easy last year, because I would never say this is easy, but I felt like last year I just knew. I would look, be like, oh, that's 5, that should be 7, and I would bet it, and then the next morning I would look at the line and be like, yup, nailed it. And it felt like I was seeing the board pretty easily from majority of last season, and that's just not the case. I spent a lot of time looking last night too, and I'm like, I don't know what this line should be. So I have some bets, and we'll talk about it, but please tail responsibly, because I don't have a ton of confidence in the way things are going right now. So let's talk about Raptors, Cleveland, and I'm on the under here. 1 second. Toronto, Cleveland. Market's moving up, though, so they're expecting a lot of points. I don't know where the points are coming from on the Toronto side. On the road in Cleveland against an elite defense. This is a Raptors defense that likes to get out in transition. Cleveland's great defensively against the fast break. They're also one of the best rim protection defenses in the NBA. Toronto attacks the basket at a high rate. So I again, I don't know where the points are coming from the Raptors here. And on the other side, yeah, Cleveland should be able to score on the Raptors, but they just played arguably the biggest game of their season last night. I just really don't see them pushing the pace here against Toronto, especially when Toronto wants to play a fast-paced basketball game. If you're Cleveland, you just got off that game, a huge win over Oklahoma City. Play some half-court basketball, and you'll win this game comfortably at home. Force Toronto to run some sets here out of the half court. You're going to win easily. So I don't think this is going to be a super high-scoring game, but again, confidence is not super high right now. I have the under.
Good morning, Kyle.
Morning.
I am with you here. I didn't bet under, but my look for the game would be Toronto team total under. I think we talked about it. Back-to-back games. They played against the New York Knicks yesterday. I said, I'm not sure where the scoring is going to come. The Knicks was off 3 straight losses. The team total was like 110.5. And they didn't get – I mean, did they get to 100 yesterday against the Knicks? Now you got them on the second leg of a back-to-back. And it's the shot profile for me. The Toronto Raptors like to get downhill. You talk about this all the time. R.J. Barrett, Scotty Barnes, they threw a lot of. They try to score a lot in the paint. On the full season, the 8th in rim frequency, a second in rim frequency. Last 5 games, the 8th in rim frequency. That doesn't line up for Cleveland. Like they got Jared Allen down there, they got Evan Mobley down there. Their team totals continuously go under. Last 5 games, 3rd worst in points allowed, point scored per 100 possessions. Bottom 10 in effective field goal percentage. They're not getting offensive rebounds, which is something that they were doing. So I think you isolated here, Cal. I know Cleveland's coming off a big win, probably the biggest win of the season, but you can get a Toronto team total under at 110.5 right now. I don't think they get to 111, even close to it. So Cleveland, will they need to get to 126? No, but do they shoot a bunch of threes and are they efficient? Yes. But I don't think either way, I don't think Toronto gets to their team total. So I lean a little bit more towards Toronto. It's kind of isolating it at 110.5. That would be my look here, guys.
Yesterday against the Knicks, the Raptors it was just under 6 minutes without scoring a basket, scoring a single point against the Knicks in the 4th quarter. So yeah, under it is. Let's go to the next one. Market's been moving here. This one was 3.5 last night. It's up to 5.5. I almost bet under at 207 last night, which obviously I wish I had done. It's at 200.5 now. It dropped to a full 6.5 points. Got to be one of the lowest totals of the season here.
For sure.
And, I mean, it makes perfect sense. 2 of the slowest paced basketballs on the team. Neither could score points. I get it. That being said, this might be a little too far down here at 200. There's a graphic in there for Orlando team total over. Didn't bet this, but I think now that it's all the way down here, I mean, you can get Orlando team total over 97.5. Keep in mind, Minnesota cannot protect the basketball. They're not the greatest defensive team in transition. I think the Magic can force some steals and get out in transition and get up and over this number. I didn't bet this. Again, very clear that the market pushed this number way down. People jumped on that under 207, 206, 205. I mean, he got slammed, nuked. So, I mean, at the current number, if I was to place a bet on this game right now, I would play the other side of the tail end here and play Orlando team total over just because it's dropped so much. Keep in mind, this game opened up at 3.5, 207, which means the implied score of this game was 105, 102 at open. Now, Orlando's team total has dropped off almost a full 6 points, which that's a lot. That's a lot. So tail end of the market, maybe some value on jumping on the other side, but I didn't bet this.
Yeah, I bet the under though, Kyle. I bet it at, I got it at 5.5 last night. I think it was like 1:30 this morning when I sent it out. And it's for everything that you mentioned, right? Like I don't know how much we really got to jump into it. I'm just expecting Paolo could potentially return, even though I'm thinking maybe more tomorrow because they play the Bucks because it's the first leg of a back-to-back. But I mean, they're rested, 2 days rest. You got a Minnesota team just getting into a couple trends. Minnesota is 6-1 to the under the last 7 road games as a favorite. They stayed under their team total in 7 straight road games as a favorite. Miami has been a home dog 5 times this season. All of those games have gone under their holding. They've held their opponents to an average of 95 points per game, and they played against the Pacers, the Knicks twice, the Thunder, and the Celtics. So if you can do that against, those teams, we got a Minnesota team that's not super efficient. I think efficiency-wise, they're like 19th, so below middle of the pack here. And then I look into, I was thinking first half too, Kyle, just because the numbers were even stronger towards the under in the first half between these two teams as of late, but the market wasn't available yesterday. It should have opened like 102.5, I think it was, but I woke up this morning, it was like 98. I was like, I'm not touching that. But the Timberwolves are 9-1 to the first half under in their last 10 games. Orlando's 8-2 to the under in their last 10 games. So first half under, but I'm not going to get there. I did bet full game under though at 205.5. All
right, let's move on to the next one. I think we got the same bet here. You're on the under, right?
In Golden State, Detroit?
Yeah.
I leaned it, didn't bet it. Should probably bet it. I do see it coming back up a little bit now, though.
Yeah. I don't even. I'm not even trying to pay too close attention to the market anymore because they don't seem to know what they're doing either. Like all in on one side, then it swings all the way back up, and I was like, what the hell's the point? So I got 220.5 under. There's a lot of question marks on the Golden State side here. Let me pull up the injury report. We do a refresh to make sure there's. Yeah, okay. So Steph Curry questionable, Schroeder questionable, Draymond Green questionable, Moody questionable. So a lot of injury question marks in there. But as far as how this game should go, neither of these teams are running particularly fast pace. I mean, the Pistons were running at decent pace, but in the last 5 games, they're 21st in pace. Golden State, 21st in pace in the last 10 games. Neither of these teams run a particularly fast pace. Detroit, weirdly, first in defensive rating in the last 5 games. Now, it's obviously the last 5 games. The Pistons have played a relatively easy schedule, so you don't overreact to something like that. But no question, Detroit's playing very good defense right now, and Golden State's been struggling to score. So we shouldn't see a fast-paced game here. The Pistons playing great defense. Also, hold on, there's a couple things I like. Detroit is not a team that lets you get out in transition. They're 5th in defensive frequency against the fast break, meaning they lock it down. They try their best not to let you get in transitions. Or should see Golden State with a lot of half-court possessions. Golden State, what do they like to do? Hold up. Oh, I'm sorry. What does the Pistons like to do? They like to get in transition and run the pick and roll. Golden State's actually first in the NBA in defensive efficiency against both of those sets. So just a lot of things I like here that point towards an under. But again, when I bet it got bet down to 218, 219. Now it's coming back up. So I don't know. I'm in at under 220.5 though.
Maybe Cal, that's because, just trying to think out loud. Maybe that's because those guys are like the books don't know whether all of that, like, it's a lot on the Golden State side. So maybe you wait, all these guys get rolled in and the number continues to come up and you take an under, but I'm right there with you on the under. The part of your handicap that I didn't cap was the pick and roll defense for the Golden State Warriors, because we know Cade lives in the pick and roll. And if they're going to defend that well, then I definitely think the game goes under. To put the game in perspective as far as situational stuff, you got a Golden State team on the road that typically goes under. I think the 12-6 to the under on the road or something like that. I don't think I wrote it in my notes, but situationally, both of these teams have fatigue spots as far as travel. You got a Golden State team, first game on the road after 6-game homestand, 5th game in 8 nights for Golden State, and the first leg of a back-to-back with the Pacers tomorrow. Detroit is also second leg of back-to-back from Brooklyn last today. 3rd game in 4 nights, 4th and 6th, and 5th game in 7 nights. Teams playing a 5th game in 7 nights this season are 66% to the under, 12-6-2. And like I said, Golden State, I do got it in my notes. Golden State 10-6 to the under on the road, Cal. And you mentioned not really, even if you said it, that Detroit been pretty good in transition frequency. Golden State not even pushing the ball anymore.
Yeah,
they have no desire to push the ball. I think it's just the too many injuries. Brzezinski and not having a lot of those guys off the bench. So right there with you on the under, Cal. I'm gonna wait and see if we get a better number. I see Minnesota, Orlando down to 199.5 now.
That's
and
so
you mentioned
crazy.
that is the lowest total. Orlando has been involved in 2 totals so far this season that have been under 205. One against the Clippers at 204.5, and one against the Magic at 202. But this is the lowest total of the season so far.
You brought up the Cade Cunningham pick and roll stuff. I just looked up updated numbers because my spreadsheets are usually 24 to 48 hours behind. Golden State second in the NBA in points per game allowed via the pick and roll, and second in the NBA in defensive efficiency against the pick and roll. Next game. Houston, Memphis. Here's a bet that I nailed. Finally. It'll probably lose now that I said that. But I got
Stop there, Cal. Stop there.
I got Memphis money line at plus 125 last night. It's now a pick 'em. So, there's a ton of injury question marks on the Grizzlies, like a ton. Desmond Bane, Ja Morant. I mean, they're loaded with question marks here. Obviously, that's a factor. And obviously, if all those guys don't play, maybe I get screwed here. And this number goes right back up to where I bought it at. But we're talking about the most profitable home team in the NBA here, Memphis. I believe they're 14-5 against the number. And I saw that plus 3 and grabbed it immediately. This team's been very, very good at home. And I've been saying Houston hasn't looked quite as good recently. You look at the standings and their overall body of work, and they look like one of the strongest teams in the Western Conference. Isolated to the last 2 or 3 weeks, and they haven't looked quite as good. If all those guys play on Memphis, this is going to be insane closing line value. Because if Ja Morant and Desmond Bane are ruled in, which I don't know if they're going to be or not, but if they are, I bet you this closes at Memphis -4. I got Memphis at plus 125 on the money line.
Yeah, I like it, Cal. Not honestly a lot to add. I'll say that Houston is coming off back-to-back wins. They've been against two, scumbags, as prop people would say, against my Lakers and the Washington Wizards the other day. So you get a big step up in class here. It's also a revenge spot here. Houston did beat Memphis the first time that they played earlier this season, 128-108 as 3.5-point home favorites. Now you get them on the. I still see them listed as a favorite of -1, but it's definitely come down. Haven't bet this one yet, Cal, but I like it. I like first half and I like full game. Memphis is also the best first half team at home, as you mentioned. They just, for whatever reason, if they're a favorite and they're at home, you typically want to bet on them 14-5 against the number 73.7%. I like that a lot.
Cool. Wait, this Thompson rebounds, is that you?
Oh yeah. I forgot it. Amin. Absolutely. Gotta continue to ride the train with him. He is up and over. So it's been 2 games since Jabari Smith Jr. has been out. Granted, they came against the Lakers and the Wizards, who don't rebound the basketball well at all. But this dude's a freak of nature. He's had 19 and 21 rebound chances. He's converting like 75% of his rebound chances. He had 15 and 16 rebounds in his last 2 games. So still feel like the market hasn't quite caught on. I got this at even, at over 10.5. But I want to say the market's moved against me. It's like plus 110. I took it last night as soon as I saw it, thinking that I would wake up this morning and it'd be like minus 130. But I still think he can get it against Houston. You just isolate the games that he's played 35 minutes or more, and he's hitting about 77% to the up and over 10.5. And he's played 40 plus minutes in back-to-back games in the starting lineup without Jabari Smith Jr.
All right, let's move on to the next game. This next one is a straight pass for me, though. I have no idea what I like here. Didn't spend a ton of time on it. Don't really care. I have much interest in it. Do you have Portland, Dallas? Anything here?
Bless you, Toast. No, not at all, Cal. I just can't, we could talk about it, but I know I'm not gonna bet it. It's a terrible spot for Portland. Second leg of back-to-back, third and fourth and fifth, and 5 and 8. And it's the last game of a road trip. They probably feel really good about themselves after beating, the Pelicans last night by like 120. I really want to get there. I feel like it's a flat spot for Dallas after beating the Lakers the other night. But I'm not going to get there. If Portland came out and laid an egg, it wouldn't surprise me. I do think it's a tad bit too many points for Dallas to be laying without Luka and Kyrie at home. We got to remember, before they beat the Lakers the other day, they were 0-5 straight up and against the spread without Luka and Kyrie. So maybe Portland first half before they run out of gas full game. On this road trip, Cal, they've covered every spread except the one against the Lakers, which is where they started. So they're, I think, 3-1 against the number. Outright win against against Milwaukee. Then they kept the game close in the next one. And then they actually just beat the Pelicans last night as a dog too. So yeah, I really want to get there with Portland plus the 4.5 in the first half, but I'll wait. No, or probably just not play it at all. Don't want to put too much money on Portland.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Prop Beaver's coming on for this one. Your camera is probably in the 4 people thing.
Yeah, it is. 1 second. Let me just get it out of there real quick. If one of you would like to start us off on this one.
Okay, so it's Hawks, Suns. I don't have a bet in this game. My last 2 bets are in the last 2 games. But this one, very clear line movement. This was at 4 and 236. It was bet up. I even saw some 7s out there, and I even saw some 239. So very clear the action was towards the Suns and the over almost immediately. At the current number, is Okongwu still questionable? Let me just double check that.
Yep, he is. Jalen Johnson is out. Trae Young is probable. Bogdanovich is questionable. Bogdanovich is probable.
I probably would get on board with the over. I don't know what the action buying in on the Suns laying points. The Hawks are bad, though.
I know.
I guess if you put a gun to my head and force me to place a bet here, I probably would just try to find a 7 with Atlanta. But I'm not. There's no way. You could just leave over up for me. It's fine. I'm not betting the game, so you could just put over up.
Yeah, I would go the same way, Kyle. I actually handicapped this game from a backwards perspective because I thought Atlanta was at home and Phoenix was on the road, and I thought this was first game back for Atlanta. And I thought this was last game of a road trip for the Suns, was actually the opposite. So this is the last of a 6-game road trip for Atlanta, and the first game back home for Phoenix. You're right. Like it's a clear. I think it's a clear Phoenix spot. No Jalen Johnson means no bet on the Hawks for me. You nailed it in the last game. If you had actually played the Jazz, you would have got an easy cover with Trae Young hitting that game winner. but I know you didn't play it, and I would have been wrong. You just can't trust Atlanta on the roads to win a game. Now, as you mentioned, as a dog, they typically play a lot better, but I would want a Congo in. Don't really want to lay with the Suns, especially not this big a number. You mentioned it opening at 4. This was actually at 3, Cal. And I think I would just stay off of it. Probably go over or nothing, but not a game I'm interested in betting either.
But yeah, it's interesting because you can see everyone in the comments, Phoenix laying points, and I'm not betting the Suns. How can you lay points with the Suns? I get it, but very clearly the sharp action took Phoenix. This number's at 4. It shot up to 7. People are betting the Suns. Like the sharp money's coming in on the Suns. I'm not saying you should do that, and I'm not saying I'm doing it. I'm just saying very clear pattern here. This number was at 4. I even saw 3.5s last night.
It was 3. I saw 3 when it first.
Was it 3? Yeah.
It was 3. It was 3. And Joe put this in the Discord yesterday. He said Suns since last year 7-2 against the spread off a double-digit loss as a favorite. 1-0 this season. The Hawks this year missing a cover by the Hawks are missing the cover by 8.5 points in a game after they've won by less than 5 points. So the Hawks are terrible off of a short win, and the Suns just lost outright because you were on the Charlotte in that game by double digits, and they typically bounce back in that spot.
Are you talking about Cup of Joe?
No, not Cup of Joe. Joe the Gambler.
Oh, Joe the Gambler. All right. He got the Suns at 3?
He got the Suns at 3 yesterday. He posted it like mid-evening.
Well, that's the bet you want to be on right now is Suns -3. At the current number, it's probably gone. But Prop Beaver is on Trae Young triples.
Yeah, I'm on his triples here. We were on his assists the other night. I mean, he made that look easy against the Jazz, but this is a significantly tougher matchup for him to rack up the assists. I actually don't really love the matchup for the Hawks offense. I mean, why do we like that assist angle for Trae the other night? Because he really likes to rack up the assists at the rim. Well, the Suns defense, they excel at limiting rim opportunities. And what do they really struggle at? I mean, they allow the most above the break 3 opportunities in the league over their last 10 games, and we're seeing primary ball handlers specifically reap the rewards. Suns have allowed the 5th most 3-pointers made to point guards per 48 minutes the last 2 weeks. We've recently seen LaMelo with 5, Maxey with 6, Halliburton with 5, Curry with 4, Bane with 4, and Irving with 5, all cashing this line in just Phoenix's last 6 games. And what stood out to me is the insane volume they're seeing because these guys haven't really been all that efficient, but they're averaging 12 3-point attempts per game. And we're seeing Trae be very aggressive without Jalen Johnson on the floor, especially from the perimeter. Again, not that efficient, but 10 3-point attempts, 9 3-point attempts, 10 3-point attempts. That's resulted in 4, 4, and 3 3-points made over in his last 2 or 3. Young already has excellent history against the Suns team, too. He's cleared the mark his last 4 or 5 meetings, averaging 5 with just 9+ 3-point attempts for his bottom 15 defenses above the break. 10-5 to the over this season. With 10+, that jumps to 9-2. So at the price of now, you get at +140. Actually lost 20 cents a CLV. You get +140 at Bet365. I see no reason to pass on a system that's been money lately. 3-pointers against the Suns from primary ball handlers.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Miami, Utah, and Chris, I got to say, I saw your bet here. I made the graphic. I don't understand how you get to that side.
What, he first half -3?
I mean, I'm not on the first half, but I mean, you got to take Utah at the 5.5, right?
Yeah, 5.5, absolutely. Yeah, the thing that pushed me over the, because I haven't submitted this one yet, I wanted to do a little bit more digging. So Miami, Cal, was in that really terrible spot the other day. I know you was on Golden State. It was a Golden State spot. They just clearly just wet the bed. So that's why I don't like Miami. That's why I don't like Miami for the full game, because they're coming off a win.
First half.
Yeah, because Miami's coming off the win.
There's a graphic.
And outside of them coming off the win, they are also in a terrible fatigue spot in this game, right? That was 5th game in 7 nights, off a double overtime game against Golden State, a rare win that you'll ever see in today's NBA. So I think that they could potentially run out of gas, especially in altitude in the fourth quarter, in the second half in this game. But it was literally less than a week ago that they were at home, and Utah came in as a 9-point dog and beat them by 36 points. So now you're with John Collins was present in that game. Now you're without John Collins. Keontae George is ruled out. Bryce, since the ball's ruled, is potentially gonna miss this game as well. He's listed as questionable with an illness. I think it's a clear revenge spot here for Miami, and if they do run out of gas, it'll be in the second half. So first half is -3. I think they probably got this one circle here, Kyle, especially early in the game.
Yeah, he's got
Heat.
Heat.
You like the Heat minus.
It's Heat first half -3, and there's a graphic in there.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
I completely misinterpreted what you were saying. Honestly,
Yeah, he's on the Heat first half. That's why I was saying I don't understand how you get to that side. I guess maybe first half, but at the same time, it's not like I've been seeing the board clearly. I'm on Utah here, and I don't really know what I'm missing. I mean, the Jazz have played better basketball than the Heat. In the last 10 games, the Jazz are playing better offense. They're 11th in offensive rating to 21st. Defense is even, 16th to 17th, and they've done it against a stronger schedule. 11th in strength of schedule, 24th for the Heat. So the Jazz have been straight up playing better than the Heat recently. They should win the rebounding battle on both sides of the floor. In fact, in the last 10 games, there is not a worse offensive rebounding team in the NBA than the Miami Heat. They're dead last in offensive rebounding rate in the last 10 games, 23rd on defense. Utah's a top 5 rebounding team. So not only has Utah been playing better, but they're going to win the rebounding battle on both sides. What does Utah struggle against? The fast break, right? That's dating back multiple years. Jazz has been terrible against the fast break, dating back to like 2022. They're terrible against the fast break. Miami doesn't really get out in transition like that. They're not a fast break team. Also, Utah struggles against isolation. Miami doesn't really run that either. What Miami does, pick and rolls, spot up shooters. Happens to play to the strength of the Jazz defense. What else is everything that Utah is weak against, Miami doesn't do. Utah struggles to protect the rim. Miami doesn't really attack the rim. They settle for mid-range shots. It's just a good matchup for Utah at home. I thought when I bet that this line was going to drop to like 3. It hasn't. It's still sitting in the same spot. Maybe there's people buying in on Miami. I don't know. I bet the Jazz, but I'm not. Make your own decisions. Next. Charlotte Lakers. Another one where I don't really understand the line. I don't know how you lay that big of a number with the Lakers as long as everyone's playing for Charlotte, and it looks like everyone is, with the exception of Trey Mann. Obviously, the Lakers are the better team here, but, I mean, this number was 9.5. The Hornets, when they have LaMelo Ball on the floor, they're not that bad. Yeah, without LaMelo Ball, they might be the worst team in the NBA. But with LaMelo Ball on there, I mean, they're all right. They could score a little bit. They've actually been playing some defense, too. In the last 10 games, they're actually 9th in defensive rating. And, yeah, they're dead last in offensive rating. But when LaMelo's on the floor, they're not the worst offensive team in the world. It's just a play on the number. I got it at 8.5. When I bet it, it dropped down to 8, and I even saw 7.5. So I was like, nailed it. Then I woke up and it was up at 9. So, again, I don't know. It looked like I nailed it for a second. Now it's back up at 8.5. 9. I even saw a couple of 9s. So I'm on the Hornets. Big number.
Yeah, only way I could look as well, Kyle. I will not be betting Laker games like for a really, really long time. So it's either going to be the other team or I'm just going to stay off the game because clearly they're not trustworthy when they can't win against the Dallas Mavericks without Luka and Kyrie the other day. I'm still kind of heated and frustrated over that. With my CLV, that was absolute trash in that game. So yeah, I mean, there's some other like factors that kind of go into this one too, Kyle. I don't know if you thought about like you probably did already. The wildfires that's happening in LA. Like we saw the Clippers absolutely be, just I don't know if that was a part of why they got smoked against Denver last night or not, but could have been a factor that in my opinion lends itself more towards Charlotte than it does to LA. I also saw that this game may even potentially be rescheduled based on what's going on today. So I didn't bet it, but I'm only taking the points with Charlotte. This is a tad bit too big of a number for the Lakers to be laying at home, even though they have been playing. They do play a lot better at home.
All right, let's talk college football. Chris, thanks for coming on early, man. Talk to you later.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Kyle. Best of luck today.
Yep. Let's talk some college football, and it's just me today. And I mean, we could just run a
No, you got Scoop, bro.
My bad, Scoop's here.
Yeah.
All right, so me and Scoop are gonna go through the game. This total is not 50.5.
Oh, what is it?
It was 44.5, and then I saw a couple 45s.
You just missed all that sharp action.
Yeah, it's 45.5.
Okay.
Just for those of you looking at the graphic, this is that picture, bro.
That's Caveman Sam from Trailer Park Boys. One of my favorite characters of all time.
So, we got Notre Dame, Penn State. As you guys, I'm sure you know, I'm on Penn State here. You can go. There's a graphic in there for it.
Okay. I was just trying to fix total real quick, but yep, I got you. Okay, Penn State.
He's got a cigarette in his hand.
I don't know why that happened. There we go.
I think it's at the very end because I thought you were doing it last.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know why. I thought I would have saw it there.
It's at the. It should be the very last graphic after all the college basketball.
Nah, I don't see her.
All right, whatever. So I'm on Penn State. I got +2. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I need to repeat everything I already did in the video, but I don't really know how dominant this Notre Dame run game is. We look at Notre Dame as having a dominant run game, and if you look at their full season numbers, sure, 6.4 yards per carry in the regular season, but every single time that they've seen, can you mute your mic, Toast? Every single time that they've seen a good defense, they've struggled to run the ball. I mean, in the regular season, they played 2 top 20 run defenses. We're talking bad success rate. They struggled to run it. And then in the playoffs, they had 5.5 yards per carry against Indiana. They had a 98-yard touchdown run. You take that one run out, they averaged 2.7 yards per carry. They didn't run the ball at all on Indiana. And then Georgia, it was Riley Leonard that was running the ball. They weren't handing the ball off and ripping off chunks. Riley Leonard ran the ball in Georgia, which is pretty on par what we can expect from the Georgia defense. They've struggled against scrambling quarterbacks this entire season. So there's just nothing here that would lead me to believe Notre Dame can consistently run the ball in Penn State. Now it's Notre Dame. I'm sure they're going to move the chains here and there. But as far as sustaining drives on the ground, which is what Notre Dame needs to do, they need to hand the ball off and be able to consistently move the marker. And I don't think they're going to be able to do that and sustain long drives in this game. The reason that's so important is you have to keep in mind that you cannot trust Notre Dame's passing attack. I mean, they had a 24% success rate in passing downs against Georgia. 24%. Meaning, you get Notre Dame into 2nd and 11, 3rd and 7, the possession's over. Your defense is off the field. You get Notre Dame into passing downs, they're a terrible offense. I mean, yeah, they'll be able to move the chains here and there on the ground, but eventually Penn State's going to stop them at the line of scrimmage, and Notre Dame's going to be in a passing down, and Penn State's defense is going to get off the field. So I don't like the matchup for Notre Dame offensively here. And on the other side, I think Penn State can run the ball. Want to know why? Because they're running the ball on every single defense they've seen. Oregon ran the ball all over them. SMU, who has a great defensive front, ran the ball all over them. Boise State, okay, Boise State's a Mountain West defense, but still, they're a solid run defense. Ran the ball all over them. Notre Dame's defense is tough, but they have been vulnerable to the run this year. If I'm James Franklin, I'm coming out handing the ball off. Notre Dame's going to have to show me they could stop it. And unlike Notre Dame, Penn State is capable of making throws in those passing downs. Now, Notre Dame's got a great secondary and a great pass defense. By no means am I saying Drew Aller is going to piece Notre Dame up. Absolutely not. But unlike Notre Dame, if it's 3rd and 7, the possession isn't over for Penn State. They can convert those. Notre Dame really, the success rate is so low on those types of plays. So, I mean, I think the wrong team's favored. Not saying Penn State should be laying 6 here. I'm just saying I would put this one Penn State -2, -2.5. So I got a +2. I think it's a lot of value on that. But, I mean, we're in the college football playoff semifinals here. These are very sharp lines that have taken a ton of action. Clearly, there is action on the Notre Dame side that is sharp. So I think I'm on the right side with Penn State at +2. What is our poll on? We don't have a poll.
Yeah, sorry. I guess I got distracted by the, I don't know. Don't have an excuse.
I would like to see what the people are on.
Okay, let's
Someone says, who has beaten the better teams? Well, strength of schedule would go probably to Penn State. It's pretty close as far as power index. They're pretty dead even. 2 of Notre Dame's biggest games were against backup quarterbacks. So you would have to give the edge to Penn State in terms of strength of schedule.
All right, let's see.
Which is weird. I saw a couple comments on the YouTube video saying Penn State's played an easy schedule. Like, what? Yeah, they've had some easy games, but I mean, we're comparing them to Notre Dame here. They've played a stronger schedule than Notre Dame. Notre Dame's schedule is not very impressive. The reason I'm putting the poll up is you look at all the sites that show where like the action's coming in, right? And what the data I always say you should take with a grain of salt. And it shows that everyone's betting Notre Dame here. And that is not my perception of it. Seems like everyone I talk to is betting Penn State. Not that that should matter either way, but I very seriously doubt Notre Dame is the quote unquote public side here, because everyone I talk to seems to like Penn State. It seems like more action is on the Penn State side. Now, I would imagine a lot of casual college football fans are betting Notre Dame. They're a very popular team. Maybe that's where that comes from, but yeah, and see, our poll is on Penn State as well. So I think more people are on Penn State. But yeah, let's go to college basketball. You're good. Yeah, about the Georgia game. Georgia hasn't been able to run the ball since September. That's a terrible rushing attack. And then before that, they played Indiana. That's a passing offense. So I really think if you watch my video, I went through it in pretty good detail. But if you really take a look at Notre Dame's schedule and look at it and say, okay, what rushing attacks have they seen? And you look at those games, you can run the ball in Notre Dame. They've been struggling to stay on the line of scrimmage. I mean, they're not a top 25 run defense. Against the pass, definitely. They're not a top 25 run defense. Penn State averaged 8 yards a carry against Oregon. I think Penn State can hand the ball off and say, then dare Notre Dame to stop it.
Say, okay, what?
Oregon sucks, but it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame's defense is better than Oregon's. Oregon's defensive front was overrated. I'll give you that. Purdue Rutgers, what do you like?
I don't know how you could possibly not. I didn't bet this because, especially after going 0-11 yesterday, that's not an exaggeration. Or no, sorry, I went like 1-10, I think. So that's not an exaggeration.
Yeah, I know.
I don't understand.
The morons are out. The guy's like, fade toast picks, you make money. Like, what's that, your first winning day in a month?
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, hey, even after I lost like 7 units, I'm still up over 20 units this month. So
these are not intelligent people.
Big fade spot, big fade. As far as this one's concerned, and also just for the record, the difference between me and you guys is I'll post the 0-11 to my Twitter and be okay with it. That's the difference. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why this number is so short. I think that Purdue is playing some of the best basketball in the country right now. And I know that that's kind of, it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's kind of not. I get that they haven't looked good at times, especially on the big stage. Marquette, Penn State, Auburn, Texas A&M. But obviously Auburn is one of the best teams in the country. There's no question about that. Texas A&M, we saw again last night, just break my heart in a huge second half with 50 points in the second half without Wade Taylor on the road against Oklahoma team. I mean, that was extremely impressive. Penn State, not so much, but again, Marquette. So, I mean, the losses that this Purdue team has taken, is nowhere close to what they're going to see with this Rutgers team. This Rutgers team that, again, I don't know what's wrong with them. I've read a couple things talking about other teams that have had to play them, like the Princeton coach, and I think it was the Indiana coach, that they said that it's really easy to game plan against this team because all you have to worry about is Harper and Bailey because nobody else can do anything. So for me, you have a Purdue team that's coming in here playing some of their best ball of the season. They're at a point where they can't be losing games willy-nilly. I mean, because they do have 4 losses already. I don't think that Purdue's going to be – I don't think this is – my point to that is I don't think this is like a down spot for Purdue. I think they're going to be coming in here ready to play. I just don't understand this line. I think that Purdue has every advantage. I made Purdue -4.5, -5. I think they're clearly over a possession better than this team. Rutgers can't shoot free throws. That's another thing that really bothers me. So it's Purdue or pass here. I know a lot of like people like you guys can't bet it. I didn't bet Purdue because I do want to see them Purdue on the road in a true road environment. The only other time they've went on the road, one of them was Penn State, which they lost that game. I do think that Penn State's a little bit better, or a lot better than Rutgers is. And then the other one was Minnesota, that they went on the road. They obviously killed Minnesota. Minnesota's terrible. Oh, they played Marquette as well. But so I do want to see a little bit more from Purdue on the road. I don't know if I trust how good they have been playing, but I have to say that they have been playing very good. Also, Purdue's played one of the best schedules in the country as well. So it's a pretty significant step down in class when they played Rutgers here today, even after playing. I honestly think that Northwestern, and I don't think this is crazy, but I think that Northwestern is head and shoulders better than Rutgers. And Purdue went, even though that game was at home, Purdue beat that team by 20. I would say that that Rutgers isn't like head and shoulders better than Minnesota either. And Purdue went into Minnesota and beat them by 20. So the only way I can look here is Purdue here. And that kills me because, yeah.
Let's go to the next game. And then the next game, there wasn't a Purdue graphic in there?
No. There was a PUR, but it was.
It was a Purdue graphic. It grabbed the wrong logo. It's the Pepperdine logo. It's because it's looking for PUR and it's finding PU. That's how that worked. This is the only college basketball game that I'd be down to bet if you co-sign it. This is Ohio State here, right? I think the line's telling. 3.5 is a lot because I think Oregon might even be the slightly better team, or like at least close.
Oh, they're the better team. There's no question.
Yeah. So Ohio State minus 3.5 at home. I don't know. I think that's the look.
I would agree. With that. So first things first with this Oregon team. I think you're always going to get. When Dana Altman's coaching, they're always going to be somewhat competitive. My issue with Oregon is they haven't really been tested out of the West Coast. They've played a really good schedule. Teams like Oregon State, Texas A&M, San Diego State, Alabama, UCLA, USC, Illinois. And by the way, I just want to say this on the show. I know that everybody's in love with Oregon and Duke and stuff. I think that Illinois might be the best team in the country. I'm just going to go out and say that. What I saw last night from Illinois, not that like Penn State is some world beater, but not having your best player coming back from a West Coast road trip and just absolutely demolishing that team. I honestly think that Illinois is a problem. This game, as far as this is concerned, Oregon hasn't played a game outside of the West Coast. I mean, they had to travel to USC. That's a 2-hour flight down to California, and then they had to travel an hour away to Oregon State. So I don't really love this spot for Oregon. I do trust Dana Altman teams on the road. I don't love the spot for them. I also don't love the fact that Ohio State has really been kind of unlucky shooting the three ball. It's kind of all or nothing for this team. We just saw them in overtime against Minnesota, and they lost that, or they barely won that game because of Minnesota's miscues. But Ohio State shot 27% from deep in that game. And then the Michigan State game, right behind that, another game where they shot 25%. So and Ohio State is one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country so far this year. So their last 2 games, both of them in conference play, they've shot the ball like extremely, extremely bad from deep. And I don't think that a lot of their players are going to be like that. Like Devin Royal and Bruce Thornton. Devin Royal can't shoot 3 balls, but Bruce Thornton, Mobley, Parrish, all those guys. I think there's some major positive regression for the 3-point shooting for Ohio State. And again, I don't really know if I can trust their defense that much. But at the same time, again, Oregon's offense, I away from home, I just don't really know that I'm there. I will say that the Ohio State defense has done a really good job of limiting teams. They kind of foul a lot, which kind of bothers me. And Oregon is a really good free throw shooting team, but I think just the matter of fact that you just have to look at that Ohio State has shot like 25% from deep their last 2 games in conference play, and now they're going to be a game at home, and a big game for Ohio State. It's a big game for Oregon too, especially being on the road. But I think that the 3 balls start to drop for Ohio State here today. So I would be Ohio State or pass for me.
Next. I have nothing to say in the last 2 games.
I get it.
I'll be right back.
Marshall. So this game has flipped. I played Marshall plus 1.5. It's now Marshall minus 1.5. I would still be good with it, just not as much. I just feel like Marshall has played has played a little bit better schedule than what James Madison has had to do. James Madison overall has a better strength of schedule, but since essentially Christmas time, Elon, Troy, Texas State for Marshall, James Madison, a really good game against Arkansas State, but then they played an unranked Midway team, Southern Miss, and then you have to go back to South Alabama and Wake Forest for them. But this James Madison team has just been a completely different team on the road. I will give you that Wake Forest and South Alabama is probably, and Norfolk State's probably better than Marshall as well, but Towson's definitely not, and they lost that game as well. So I just don't know how you can possibly trust James Madison on the road in these situations until they give you a reason to. Not to mention the fact that it's one of those things that Andy would love to talk about. It's a huge difference in pace here. We got a home team loving to play fast against an away team that loves to play extremely slow. James Madison, one of the slowest teams in the country at 318, number 318 in average possession length. And the one thing that James Madison does really well is shoot the three ball, and that's like one of the best things to Marshall does defending it. The only thing that really bothers me is that I do think that this game is going to be close. The line tells us that, and Marshall can't shoot free throws to save their life, but they don't shoot threes either. Everything they do inside is inside. So I do think that they have a pretty decent height advantage as well. So even if Marshall's a little bit off today, I do think that they have advantages rebounding the basketball as well. And like I said, I think that Marshall's going to run out, get a whole bunch of easy baskets, and James Madison's going to be forced to try to run kind of faster than they're used to. And I think that's when it's going to really give them problems, because one thing that James Madison can't do either is hold on to the basketball. They turn the ball over a ton. And I think in a game in which they're sped up against a Marshall defense that's done a really good job of forcing turnovers, I think that could spell disaster. So I like Marshall here. Marshall was one of my first plays I played last night. Like I said, it's flipped a little bit. I'd still play them -1.5. It's just not as big of a play for me. I would still make it like maybe like a half a unit. So, but it's all Thundering Herd for me.
All herdsmen for you. Okay.
All herds free.
I know you had a fourth game. I had to cut it out because we didn't have like graphic templates for it. There were two, I guess, lesser known teams. I think it was Utah Valley and who were they facing today? Utah Valley.
Utah Valley would be playing Grand Canyon. That's an Andy special right there.
Yeah, I don't.
God damn.
I know, dude. Tough. Do you have any thoughts on that, real quick? You want to share?
Not really.
Okay,
I don't see. I'll just really quickly. I know what this game is. Grand Canyon. I don't know what to think of them. This is Tyrone Grant Foster, who is their best player, has been kind of non-existent for a month now. Over his since the game against Hawaii where he went off, he's had 8, 11, 3, 10, 3, 12, 12, and then 23 his last game. So maybe he figured out whatever was bothering him. I don't know if he was sick or whatever, but keep in mind that kid went to Kansas to start his career. So my point to all that being is that I don't know what we can expect from Grand Canyon, especially on the road against a Utah Valley team that has been somewhat feasible, especially, I mean, they've been somewhat feasible. So again, their last 3 losses, Jacksonville State, James Madison, and Stanford are probably very equal to Grand Canyon. So again, I don't trust Grand Canyon on the road. I need to see at least another one game out of Tyrone Grant Foster, but yeah, it would be Grand Canyon or pass, but I didn't play it because they are on the road.
Okay. So Grand Canyon for you there. And then obviously this will be the last game for you. I thought I'd join you on screen, give you a little camaraderie here. And then the last one we'll do is Washington, Michigan State. What do you have in this one?
This is so disgusting. I didn't bet this, but I really want to bet Washington here. I know this isn't me trying to make a case that I think that Washington is some great team, but I do feel like they're a little bit undervalued in the marketplace. What I saw their last game, that game was at home, and Washington's only played 2 road games this year. This is going to be by far their biggest travel spot. So just pump the brakes on everything I'm about to say with Washington. But
over in Washington.
God damn, they've been really impressive over the last pretty much since that loss to Seattle, which they shouldn't have lost. They've came back. Obviously, NGIT, they don't have to worry about that, but a nice win against Maryland. And then I know that they lost that Illinois game, but they could have easily won that game. And if they had won that game, I know they did, and they lost by 4, but they came back in the second half. If they would have won that game, I mean, I think that we would be really looking at this Washington Huskies team completely differently. Osabor's playing well. Diallo's playing well. I'm kind of starting to really like this Washington team, which is absolutely disgusting because they're not that great, but they're playing really well. And I don't really know what to expect from Michigan State. I mean, I guess they're just really good because again, I keep on saying since around Christmas, I mean, they're just pretty much blowing everybody out. They haven't played a team besides Ohio State that has the skill of Washington, but I mean, Minnesota, they blow out after the North Carolina win in overtime. They blow out Nebraska. They blow out Oakland. They blow out FAU. They blow out Western Michigan. And then they had a 7-point win against Ohio State. So I just feel like it's just really hard to bet Washington, which I know that's a lot of points, but their first road game on the East Coast, or whatever you want to call it, Midwest, Washington being out of the West Coast, that's all I needed to know. But I do think that Washington can slow this game down. I do think that Washington can really match up with them defensively. The issue is that I think that Michigan State might throttle them inside. I don't know what if Osabor gets in trouble. I think there's going to be a real issue for Washington to deal with Holman and Kohler and Booker and all these guys, and Cohen Carr dunking on everybody. So, and not to mention the fact that the big factor for me is the free throw shooting. Washington, one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the country. Michigan, top 5 free throw shooting teams in the country. So if this game is like 6-7 points at the very last 5 minutes, and Washington's putting Michigan State on the free throw line, the chances are they're not going to miss those. So a very hard lean to Washington. I didn't have the balls to bet it.
Yeah, the Washington top 10 in the country in corner 3-point shot frequency, over 13% of the shot attempts coming from the corner, and but 321st in frequency allowed, meaning Michigan State collapses on the interior. The kick out corner 3-point shot should be there for Washington.
Dude, stop. I really want to bet Washington so bad. I'm trying so hard not to.
Michigan State.
Because I get what you're saying. Trust me, I don't see those things, but I see our boy from college basketball analytics. He has some cool charts. Like, I don't think Washington is as bad as people think they are. So maybe maybe this is all fugazi, but I mean, besides the blowout loss to USC, which doesn't really make sense. I mean, they've even in their losses, Nevada was in a terrible loss. UCLA is in a terrible loss. Obviously, Illinois is in a terrible loss. I just don't know if Washington is that bad. So I just wish that they could shoot free throws better than an AAU team. If they could actually shoot free throws, this would be an absolute slam bet for me.
I think it goes over. I forgot about that. You were talking about this game. I shut the lights off, took my contacts out, took the hat off, and I forgot this game was on. So I jumped back in.
I don't mind the over either. I do think that Michigan State's probably going to eat inside. That's one thing that Michigan State does. I mean, so I don't think that, and I also don't think that Washington or either team has some crazy rebounding edge too. Michigan State has very good rebounding numbers, but I do think that Washington matches up pretty well against them. So I don't hate an over either. I could see this like Michigan State 80, Washington like 70 or something like that.
Do we have the community parlay song? Is that working?
Yeah, it should be loaded. Let's go ahead and play it.
If not, just go on.
The parlay we back in. Community parlay is for the community. We coming out, making a parlay. Yeah.
Wow, the community parlay song was successful. Our music has been choppy. Actually, it's not the intro song though. It's weird. Do we have an underdog today?
No, I didn't have time to get to a second prop. I only had the Trae Young.
All right, so
guess what, Beaver?
What?
I laddered your last play, and I laddered Trae Young up to 6.
Let's go. 6 threes? All right, let's get it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they had me a bit scared about the game staying competitive with their line reading, I will say. But as long as the game stays competitive, he's going to get the volume. Guys going to be chucking them shits up today.
I let you overanalyze. I just clicked the ladder button.
Exactly.
Baby.
You're right. You're right. When you're right, you're right.
It was Trae Young. I laddered his assist last time. So, yeah, that's all good luck.
Dude had 20.
That was just easy money.
Yeah, that was crazy. Those Jazz.
Those damn Jazz.
Those Jazz, man. Boy, do they allow assists.
Also, I heard you take a shot at Kelly Olynyk making 3 balls. I've seen him make a lot of
Oh,
clutch three
no.
balls.
I said, okay, but then I said, I named 3 centers, but then I said the former 2 don't have much 3-point prowess. Kelly Olynyk, trust me.
Thank you.
That fella can sink one. Yeah.
Everyone's voting Cavs money line as a 15.5 point favorite.
In a spot where,
Were they just coming off the biggest game of the year
honestly,
yesterday?
I feel like, how do you not put like a small dime on the Raps money line?
Would that just be a nickel?
A
small dime is
that
a
is
nickel.
true. Well, I mean, if you think in size, the nickel's actually bigger than the
touche.
dime. Yeah.
Touche. For all you guys that want to fade me so bad, here's a couple more plays you can fade.
No, they
UMass Lowell-
only faded you if you lost.
Right.
You have a 6 winning days in a row, but if you lose that 7th day, they faded you that day.
Correct.
Yep, they got me. William and Mary -1.5. UMass Lowell -5.5. Kennesaw State, Middle Tennessee over 157. Wow, that's market is 159 in some spots, 155 in some. That's weird. And what else? Louisiana Tech -7.5. Towson -3.5. That's it.
Oh, my hairline's getting cooked. Now, I'm 36 years old. This is a normal hairline for a 36-year-old.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm just right there with you. I just wear a hat every day.
Whoa. This is a normal hairline. I'm not abnormally receding. This is a normal 36-year-old recede right here.
Yeah.
It's not, I have insecurities. Not that. It's not that.
Nor you shouldn't have it about that. I wear a hat every day just to hide mine.
No, you know what it is I put the hat and context in. Well, the hat is whatever. It's just an accessory to give. I feel like the videos get monotonous. The same person, the same face every day. So I feel like the hat kind of keeps like the changing, because you only see me from here up. So there's not much I could do to change the scenery. So if I change the hat, it's like they're watching something new. And the glasses, right now the lights are off. When the lights are on, you literally see the lights reflecting in my glass. I look crazy. So that's why I wear the contacts, because you like when I wear glasses and the lights are on, I look like a psychopath. I have big like lights on my glasses reflecting. But yeah, the hats are to break up the monotony of just looking at my face, talking, looking the exact same every single day. At least it's like a new color on or something. But yeah.
All right, top 2 from this one will be our last 2.
Cool.
Yeah, trust me, boys. Don't get old.
Kyle, your forehead looks nice.
What about your barber
look
yesterday with the
freaks,
nipples thing? That's what that reminded me of.
I was gonna say that hairline looks fresh as hell. I don't know.
That looks fine.
I was gonna say it looked like it just got done.
Oh, well, I did get a cut the other day. Yesterday, 2 days ago. But no, as far as the recede, that's 36 years old. That's normal.
It's not even that even. Yeah. Anyway.
No, I was getting cooked regardless.
I mean, you can't win. You can't win, so it doesn't matter.
The Tinker says normally balding. Normally, very normally balding. Thank you, Tinker.
Doesn't he have a nice head of hair though?
I'm pleased with it.
I need somebody to calculate the odds because Purdue's in it and Rutgers is playing Purdue. You know, these stupid NJ laws. God forbid.
Hold on. It's going to take me a second, but I'll be able to do it.
God for freaking bid.
Oh, Purdue -2 now. Interesting. Purdue, now we got to switch to the NBA, right? Oh, no. Penn State too.
Tinker says you can sell advertisements on that forehead.
NBA, Cavs, Mavs. Oh, it's 4 sport. Jesus Christ, it's gonna take me a second. Action is so slow. Also, the Cavaliers money line is like -1500. What are we doing?
Don't worry, it's a lock.
I'm not. I'm sorry. I shouldn't even have said anything out
Don't
loud.
question the community, bro. It's plus EV.
Mavericks. 310. College football. Nope. Football.
Holy shit, Toast! This doesn't take that long.
It's fucking action. What do you want me to do? I have to switch everything. I mean, it's not my problem.
I have a
didn't do
Texas
this.
Ohio
What's
State video to
470?
record.
It's because we're in
470, Beaver.
It's because we're in frickin' New Jersey. This frickin' state. All right.
Community parlay.
Cavs,
Cavs.
Mavs, Penn State, Purdue, plus 470, 3 sports, one
Hold on. Did the
chance
community
at
parlay
greatness.
hit yesterday?
These guys each have 17.
Oklahoma, no,
sports.
lost. Yeah, we live in New Jersey.
Yeah. So make the guy in Alaska do the parlay. It's just genius.
We can't do the Rutgers game.
We can't do
We
it.
can't add it to a parlay here.
Yeah, won't let
This doesn't
us.
Oh, that
appear.
must suck.
Flex on your ability to bet the Rutgers game. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. We won't be around in the afternoon, but I'll be around tonight. We're gonna go around dinner time for a little bit for Andy's service. So I'll be back tonight to watch the Penn State game in the Discord if you need me. And Texas Ohio State video, I'm gonna wait and upload it after the Penn State game is over. Probably gonna record it later. If you're in the Discord, you already know what I bet in that. But the videos cut will be up tonight, probably right after the Penn State game's over. That's the plan. So thanks everyone for watching. Talk to you later on.